live. Hello, everybody. We haven't seen you in a few weeks. We're here to talk about Junior Worlds, and we have 7 people already. That is great. Welcome, everybody. Give it a minute for people to get in here. We have a small crew today. Hello, Daniel. Sarah's not feeling too well. Ellie has just finished her thesis. I think she handed it in today. So she is going home to sleep.
Maybe we'll have her for Worlds.
Yeah. Hopefully. It would be nice to have host Ellie back. Because I'm not the best person for this job. So what did everyone think of Junior Worlds in general?
It felt enjoyably chaotic at times. I think, especially in the men's, it was. I don't know. I enjoyed it, but I didn't watch any of it live. And then getting the results as I woke up the next morning each day, I was like, "Huh, interesting." Because while maybe the medalists were not so surprising in the end for any of the disciplines, it was there were some very surprising one terrible program, one great program, like all over the place. So
the men's ordinals looked insane. I mean, there were a lot of amazing skates, and I think it was the women's short. I mean, we can talk about it when we get there, but the cutoff for making the free was at the same level as senior worlds. Like that was what the score, like it was like barely a point less than like the cutoff for senior worlds from like last year. The level of quality was amazing. And it's such a shame that so many people don't make the free at Junior Worlds.
Yeah, I feel like I didn't give Junior Worlds enough attention this week, partly because of the time difference and partly because of things going on in my life, not in the skating world, and also trying to get all of those things taken care of so that I can be off for more than a week to go to Montreal. But it's I feel like what I did watch, because I did not get to watch everything, but what I did watch, I thought was very good skating, though. So it made me feel like, oh, sorry, juniors. Like, I wish I had actually watched it live and gotten to participate a little bit more in the drama of it.
Yeah, because I remember, I watched, I think, the first group of junior pairs before I went to bed. So then I didn't see any of the rest of the short. I've gone back and watched it since. But I saw, the first, 3 teams. And then I would be waking up and I'd be watching either the event that was on later or the end of an event that was on really early and just the last couple of groups when it was live. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's not the best time zone, but
Yeah. Daniel, that is really good because junior pairs is one of the things that I have not watched, which is unusual for me because I usually start with pairs, but I haven't seen that yet. So I appreciate knowing that it was so good because I will definitely go back.
It's a strong event. It's a strong event, and we will talk about it now.
Right. So the pairs, the podium was Anastasia Medalkina and Luca Barilava, Olivia Flores and Luke Wang, and Naomi Williams and Lachlan Lure. So I think no one's surprised by our gold medalists here. Do you all know the term sandbagging? Because I feel like I had never heard it except in the context of adult skating and people skating down levels. So now I found it very funny when it was being applied to the Georgian team here.
Yeah. What is ironic about that is that the free skate was terrible for them. Genuinely, by far the worst they've done this year. It was so bad that I actually think if Ava and Yoni had been at their best form, that they could have potentially won it.
Yeah. Well, you're going right to the part.
Right to your heart there.
I know they're my favorites, and I was it was such a hard skate for them. I felt so bad.
Yeah,
they had
so rough.
Opportunity here to it could have been a podium. They've been doing so well all season, and just but
yeah, it was rough. Especially with the 3 falls and the free skate, I was just like, every time I was just like, no. Every time I hoped it would get better, because I think the score from the Grand Prix final was like 110 in the free or something, which was, I think it was like 106 that Metalkina Berolava got. It was particularly low. I do think it could have potentially been interesting had they been able to perform. But
yeah, I'm just was trying to check. I think Ava and Yanni have one more year in junior.
I think they do. Yeah, I think I have that.
I think that they should. I think that will make sense for them. I mean, there's a lot of strong Canadian senior teams, but it will make sense for them to try to do a last junior.
She's also not like senior eligible yet. So
yeah,
they'd have to stay down another year.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what happens to stuff like that. I think it was ridiculous that Metalkina Berolava suggested that if the age rules were changed, that they would go junior again next year. No, stop. Stop this. This is a joke.
And I feel
everything.
There are times when I'm like, yeah, you get a team newly together or whatever, it's good for them to be able to, and they are junior eligible, like, sure, put them in juniors for a year. Like, I kind of get it, but I feel like there should be a, if you've been to the Olympics rule, or like there's some like cutoff after which it doesn't make sense. But
I mean, I posted my stat afterwards, which was Luca Berolava is the only skater to have won worlds with 2 different partners, junior worlds with 2 different partners. Wow. Like that's just like, can we just stop now?
Yeah.
just go now. And you just came silver medalists at Europeans or whatever. It's just like, why? The only allowances I get are that if there are teams where the woman is not yet old enough to go senior, then let them stay junior. That's the only allowance I think should be made.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of looking into those rules about the ages and, the ages for junior pairs and all of that stuff. And I think that I don't think that the rules should be changed for the juniors. I don't think the men should be allowed to go older, because yes, it may make some pairings be, less able to compete as juniors, or like they may not get together at that level. But I think that the tendency to put together basically a man who's gone through as much of puberty as possible with a woman who's gone through as little of it as possible it just is not a great dynamic. And some of that's going to happen at the junior level. Like, I think the 3 and 4 year age gaps are totally understandable, and not like as long as everything else is going okay and in the coach and the team is set up okay, that's not innately a problem. But I do think that there should be limits on it. So I'm not necessarily in favor of changing any of that. The thing that I find really interesting is that those age gaps persist into senior, and that even when you get senior teams together, where theoretically, that idea of, well, the man, you don't want anybody to get hurt, trying to train overhead lifts too young, or when they're not, able to develop the muscle strength yet, or any of that. You still see when new teams get together in senior, on average, the man is 3 years older. And that's almost exactly the same as it is in the average age gap in juniors. So there's this narrative around it in juniors, and we notice it because it's like young teenagers and a guy in their 20s, but it's actually the same dynamic that happens at seniors. So anyway, that's a sneak peek of the research and the part 3 of the pairs article that will be coming out eventually. But I've been trying to look at whether the numbers actually back up this narrative.
Yeah. I think it's also, isn't it US Figure Skating who are making a proposal for Congress this year to let 16, lower it back down to 16 for pairs or something to go senior. And
Yeah.
just like, please, we moved it to 17 for a reason. Stop it. Because they already tried to stop it when it was first introduced because they wanted to keep Baram Chumunsev together, but obviously he went off and did SpaceX instead. But they were already thinking about the possibility of them not being able to compete when the age rule was changed, and they wanted it, like they wanted to kind of like stop that. And now they're bringing it back again for Congress this year, so they're not going to let it. They're not going to let it die, apparently.
Yeah, and I get that
keep
trying for teams to get caught in the middle. Yeah. And I also think that at some point, maybe you just say, well, that's the rules. You don't put together teams that have more than X years of age difference.
Yep.
If you and try to have them compete at an international level, but it's a balance of different factors because there's a lot of things that go into it, but I do think that this narrative about size differences and maturity and puberty, I'm willing to give it a certain amount of credence, but I also see it getting repeated a lot in a way that seems very unquestioning and very unscientific. And so as if it's like inevitable fact that you have to have a certain kind of age gap for it to be possible. And I think we also see all the teams where that's not the case. And
And to talk about the programs and not just talk about the age of autism, I love Flores Wang so much. They are such a joy to watch. I don't know why more teams don't use the Anastasia soundtrack in juniors. I think it's wonderful. I think more teams should be doing like Once Upon a December. I think it's great. And also like the Star Wars program perfectly suits their personalities and like the stage of their development. I think they're a great team. And if they had won here, I would have been ecstatic. But we have to settle for silver.
They have such just joy and great energy on the ice. They make me so happy to watch them. And the choreo sequence that they have with the it's like I think it's like a spiral and a lunge. It's a spiral and the cantilever. I remember this now. It's his spiral, her cantilever into the split jumps. It's like, I think it's it might be my favorite free skate in pairs period this year, or at least that choreo.
That's valid.
My favorite choreo sequence in pairs this year.
It's so good. I love that they're like tagline for their pairing is like "Live, Laugh, Luke." I think that's the funniest thing ever. Also, credit to Naomi and Lachlan because they didn't really start their season until nationals. She had an injury; she needed surgery, missed out on the Junior Grand Prix. He has been injured for the last couple of weeks as well, and I know he has technically had kind of a visa issue that he had to crowdfund for. Not that he had a trouble getting here, but he would have had trouble getting back into the US afterwards because he's Australian. And so he had to like crowdfund to get it expedited because otherwise he wouldn't have been able to get back into America. It was a whole thing. So it must have been a very stressful time for them recently.
Yeah, I feel like they really rose to the moment that they were not a team that necessarily was foreseen to be on the podium coming in here, and some other teams faltered, and so we ended up with what could have been coming into this event. I might have had Olivia and Luke as on the podium. We didn't do predictions, but but I think I would have definitely said, oh, there's going to be a Canadian team on the podium, and
alas,
we've got just because if you looked at the Junior Grand Prix final and some of the strengths of the teams relatively, there had seemed like that would be the case. But no, it was a great showing for the US pairs.
Yeah. Also, I love Napolitano and Comey. I think that Italian pair they have so much potential, so much promise. I actually thought they were a bit underscored here. I cannot wait to see what they do next. And I know Irina has been doing singles as well this year. Like, she's done a couple of competitions. I'm like, how are you this talented?
Yeah, I think she was asked about whether she was going to continue in both, and she wasn't sure.
Yeah.
But it does seem like for some skaters that doing the two simultaneously while they're a relatively young pair seems to work pretty well. You know, keep those singles elements strong even when they're spending all of that time learning the pair stuff. I mean, it must be exhausting, but if you can do it, then it does seem to give a leg up.
Yeah, because I know Olivia and Luke do singles as well, and I know Luke was going to be at nationals for men and then pulled out of the junior men's free skate because he wanted to focus on winning as a pair. So yeah, I think it really shows as like helping, especially like Liv and Luke, because I think their footwork really shines.
Yeah, and I think it helps too that they both have a lot of confidence and charisma, and I think they're doing a great job of melding that together. But sometimes you think about that with like to be, you know, they're kind of extroverted single skaters who are turning that into being a very extroverted pair together. But I feel like we can see that aspect in both of them. I did also want to give a shout out to the Japanese team, Sarah and Lucas. I thought were just I really like their program. It's very sweet. I hope that they can get some more time with their Canadian side of their coaches and get some more time working on those pair elements in the off season, because I know they have said that they're like committed to continuing on in pairs. And it's just, I mean, I was thinking about this after we talked to Kathy Reed about the training that they do, that, you know, they're in their daily training, they're doing singles time and they're doing time with her, like working on ice stance and partnering stuff, but they're just not getting, like, they have great support with Bruno and Brian in Canada, but they're not getting, you know, that on a kind of pair element work on a daily basis. And so I feel like with things like their twist, you can just see that that's lagging behind a bit. But maybe, you know, if they could get a couple months over the summer of like really solid training, I'm interested to see what they could do.
Yeah. I definitely want to shout out the Hungarian team of Rothendula Berai. That was the first time I had seen them, because obviously I didn't pay for the stream at Bavarian Open, and I think that was maybe, I can't remember if that was the only one they did. A lot of teams were at Bavarian Open earning their minimums. They were so impressive to me. I thought they were very undermarked in the short program. I was fearful they weren't going to make the free skate because they were out first. But despite the fact that they've got such a massive height difference, their lines follow each other very well. And considering they're so new to pairs, I was very impressed.
Yeah, I thought they had a lot of potential. And also the French team, I felt like Telemark and Coulon, I think is their name. But but they, you know, they had a rough free skate, but I felt like their fundamentals matched as a team seemed quite strong. So again, it was another one of those like, oh, I hadn't seen or noticed them before, and it's sort of fun to keep even at Junior Worlds, like still keep discovering new teams to be following.
I'm also so impressed with the French team that they like end with a their jump sequence. Like, yes. That's so strange. Like, you don't ever expect you to do that. I know the jumps are relatively simple, but it's very impressive to like change it up and do that at the end.
Yeah. I mean, they're simple jumps, but it's showing that they've got a lot of confidence in them, that they feel like they can put them there.
Also, I really hope the Ukrainian team, Zirova, have a better year next year. I really hope that Violetta can heal those injuries. It's just thwarted their entire season, and it's such a shame because they had, like, the triple twist has gone, and that was like by far like such an incredible element for them. You know, the jumps were a struggle. Everything was all keying down to like her back injury, and it's just I really hope she can sort of, because it's going to be a shame if they've reached their ceiling, and I don't want that to be the case because they have so much potential.
Yeah, it is. It's really a shame. I hope that they can get some time off to heal. And, I have to say that if I'm okay with the Georgians, getting this medal here, because I'm hoping that means that this is going to sound so mean. I'm hoping that means that they don't get a senior worlds medal, which is truly, I'm not trying to be harsh on them. It's just because there's so many senior teams that I want on that podium that I'm already feeling split in like 12 different directions when I try to think about who I would like to see. So I
mean, I would be surprised based on how the free skate went here if they can rectify all of those issues within the next couple of weeks. Because it wasn't a good skate.
Yeah. With them, I do not like either of their programs this year, and so I'm nothing against them as people, as skaters. I mean,
I have something against him as a person, but the way he treated Karina Safino, I'm not a fan of. So
yeah. Move on from pairs.
Move on from pairs on that bad note
of questionable treatment of pairs partners. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So junior men now. First place we have Minkyu Seo. I hope I said that correctly. Second, we have Ryo Nakata, and third, Adam Higara. And as Lois, as you said, the ordinals for this one were crazy. I was looking at it again, but yeah, it was.
Yeah, it's mad.
With a lot of moving around.
This is a dream podium for me, though. Like,
yeah,
great. First Korean man to win. Rio did great. Love Adam. I was sorry for Francois that he dropped, obviously, from second to fifth with that not so great free skate, but I was very, very happy for Adam to get on the podium.
He's had a crazy season.
And it's not over. He's 11 competitions.
Yeah, exactly. So that's exciting.
Yeah, no,
I'm happy about it
for that consistency this year. It's really cool.
Yeah. I'm really interested to see what his programs will look like next year, because I feel like I've seen these 5 million times.
Yeah.
I've become affectionate to the fade out though on Dream On now. I've gone past the frustration, and I'm just like, oh, it's the fade out.
It's just Adam's music now. Yeah.
It's just Adam's music now. Oh, so funny.
Yeah, I was very happy for Minkyu though. He's such a wonderful skater, and I feel like he burst on the scene. We were all really excited, and then he got a little bit overshadowed by men with stronger technical content, and just we hadn't been quite as much in the conversation this year. So it's really cool to see him be able to get to this podium.
Laura's comment here is great. Is this Adam's first major podium this season without Hyungyong? It might be, because they've been at like every competition together.
Yeah,
and obviously he'll be at Senior Worlds, not here, because KSU don't double up on their assignments. They go, these ones are going to junior, these ones are going to senior. So they put him in senior and didn't come to junior. But yeah, that might be the first time he's on the podium without him. That's so funny. Yeah. Massive shout out to Yan Hao Lee, because I was so worried he wasn't going to make the free skate, and then he just slipped in like 23rd, and then climbed all the way back up to 12th with a great free skate. Didn't even land the triple axel. Didn't even need it to make that jump.
Yeah, he's great. I really enjoy him. He was definitely one of my highlights from this men's group. I was very sorry to see Raffaele not make the free skate, but saw he got some love on Twitter all the same. I saw somebody being, I was unfamiliar with your game. It's like, yes, please, everyone get to know the amazingness that is Raffaele Francesco Zeke. He is so much fun. But I actually thought
staying junior again next year because he needs the opportunity to be winning medals on the junior Grand Prix and stuff. I know he was obviously injured earlier this season. So.
Yeah, I know. I hope that he gets that as well. And I thought that Matteo Nalbone actually did fairly well here. So I was glad to see somebody, holding it down for the Italian men. But the skater that I was maybe the most pleasantly surprised by, because I feel like I hadn't noticed him before, was Jacob Lofek from Poland. I really enjoyed him a lot. And so, just looking forward to seeing more of him. He was the one that I was like, I am not familiar.
I've seen him on the Junior Grand Prix for a bunch of years. I feel like he's grown overnight. I feel like I've just stopped paying attention for like a year and a half and he's sharp. I'm like, when did you become a man? I remember he was a small child.
And maybe that's why I saw him as a small child and have forgotten that I've seen him before, but I thought he was really fun. I see we're also getting some nice comments that yes, Edward Appleby was great. Also,
with 5 wonderful skates.
1.5. Yeah, he ran out of stamina toward the end. I'm so happy he got top 10 though. I'm glad that his legacy, like leaving juniors, is to get more opportunities for the younger guys. He's kind of been holding down the fort for the last few years.
Laura
also,
saying,
yes,
yep.
I got a shout out to I cannot pronounce his name.
Yuxiang?
I can't pronounce it. I have been a fan of him for at least since last season. I love his short program. I think he kept the same short program this year. I have heard that he is going up to senior next year, which I wouldn't necessarily advise. I feel like he should do a split. Maybe I think he maybe should stay on the Junior Grand Prix and then do some senior B events and try and like go to 4 continents and stuff. But he's committed. I think he's only like 17 at this point. But like, yeah, he's committed to going up to seniors. So I hope he does well.
Yeah, he was great, and I also really enjoyed. I feel like everyone's putting in the comments all of the things that all of the people I had written down. Yes,
everybody is obsessed with Anthony Parodies, and it's valid.
Deservedly so. Yes,
and it was so nice to see him get finally properly rewarded for PCS here.
Yes,
because that's his bag. Is the PCS? Is the performance? It's the skating. It's the composition, like he stands out so much in the crowd.
Yeah,
and he just like, even if like, I think someone said he had the lowest base value of all of the men who are in the free skate, but it doesn't matter because he brings something else, and it's good to see him get rewarded for it.
Yeah, no, I was really impressed with not just that he. I've seen these programs before. I know what he's capable of, but I thought that he did just a great job of, skating to the moment as well. Like this was his chance to really see, to, continue to make an impression internationally. And he did it great. I'm super interested, it's like, where does he go from here? He's 16. He does have time to, get more technical content. And I think it was sort of interesting to see, the some people are like, send him to a jump specialist, get him the jumps now, we need him. And some people are like, he should switch to dance. Like he's so good, he shouldn't be weighed down by the jumps. And it was like, this is like such a perfect, like, it's a good like litmus test for where you're, like, it says more about the person commenting than it does about him, about like where we are as a sport, with how reactions to him.
Yeah, I'm guilty of saying in our Discord chat, which you can join if you subscribe to our Patreon. Just plug that. I'm guilty of saying, if he can't get the technical, solo dance right there, because that's, I feel like that's more likely his bag than ice dance in general. But yeah, he's got time. He's only 16.
Yeah, and that I have to say that that's my I'm very excited for solo dance. My only concern about solo dance is if it becomes like send all the artistic performative skills there,
True.
and that
Yes.
singles just becomes about the jumps and the technical elements. Like,
Yeah.
like I think solo dance has some things that are and should be distinct from singles, but like we're just gonna have to see how it all evolves. But that's the
I'm glad it's another option for people.
definitely. I continue to think, like, be interested in the idea of split events where you might have people competing in, you know, in a more technical short program and a more artistic free, like, you know, that kind of thing where you but you might, where you could get medals for both. We've talked about why that there's some barriers to that kind of an approach, but I do like the sort of different elements, or, you know, different events and then an all around as a way of trying to balance that. So, but all speculation aside, Anthony was great. I love his eye makeup game is fantastic. I super appreciate that. And yeah, he's just so uncompromisingly himself, and that is a wonderful thing to see.
It is.
And then I also wanted to say about, I was just circling back to Ed, that I hate this thumbs up thing.
Yeah, why does that do that?
I need to stop counting on my hands with.
Yeah, you like counted with your thumb and it went, hi, thumbs up.
Well, I'm good. Oh, fine. I'll thumbs up as triple axels, which is all I was going to say, was that I thought that he's got like triple axel, triple toe right off the front of that free skate. I was like, yes, he's for it. So I am very excited to see him at Senior Worlds and hope he makes the free skate, but it's going to be hard.
It's going to be tough.
There are the number of men who I hope are going to make the free skate who probably won't. Well, we don't have to talk about Senior Worlds yet, but like
in general, the number of men though, like there's a huge field at Senior Worlds.
Yes. I think it's partly just that of all of the disciplines, the men is the one where I have the most favorites, in that, like,
they don't have the technical arsenal to make the free skate.
Yeah. They're messy, they're a little inconsistent, they might not have a triple axel or a quad, you know. So those seem to be all of the skaters that I often am drawn to, because they usually, if they don't have those things, it's usually they're making up for it with personality or skating skills or something else. And so I tend to those often tend to be a lot of my favorites in the men. So it's going
to be a wild event.
Yeah. And then sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say quick shout out to Alexa Rakic. I thought he had a great competition here. Obviously, his last juniors, I think that was his last eligible season. Obviously, he didn't do I don't think he did the Grand Prix. No, he didn't do the Grand Prix this year. He went to Nebelhorn. But yeah, he had a very strong short program and didn't fall apart in the free skate too much. Good result. Kept the 2 spots for Canada. I thought that was great. I would like to see, hopefully, Jacob Sanchez has a problem with his free skate, and like his short program's always so good. It's just keeping the consistency in the free skate.
Yeah.
And he has like all of this. He has all of the skill and all of the tools, and like just want him to succeed.
Yeah, it's tough. I also was very impressed here with Matthias Lindfors, not having the most, did not have a fantastic free skate technically or anything. He went from, 14th in short to 23rd in the free. But I'm excited for him in the future. He really, he stood out to me, has some great energy. And also Casper Johansson had PBs in both events, and I thought really did very well for himself here.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like we've covered most of the men.
We have a shout out for Denis Kruglov of Belgium.
And like the fact that he made the free skate, great. I mean, I'm pretty sure this was his first junior season, and it's good to see Belgium having men coming up as well, because the women have been holding down the fort for the last few years.
Yeah. Oh, and I also want to give a shout out to Luka Imetashvili, who is the Lithuanian skater. He did not make the free skate, but he still had personal best short program here. And I just think is a really bright hope for the future. He's, one of those skaters that seems still like a really little kid. He's like probably because he's so small, but I think this gives me when I watch him, I feel like we're going to be seeing these these clips in the remember when he was so tiny and small and now look at how great he is kind of thing. I just get good feelings for him for the future. It was great to see him in the gala at Europeans. I
was going to say, I remember him doing that. He was great though.
He really stood out as an entertaining skater. So I am looking forward to him for the future as well.
Yeah. I think we've covered literally all men, so we can move on to the women.
So for the women, we have Mao Shimada in gold, Jia Shin at silver, and Rina Uezono for the bronze. This is kind of amazing in that the consistency of this podium this season is, what amazing three women. I feel like especially watching Mao and Jia, I just was thinking, we're just so lucky that we have these two are both so good and they're pushing each other and it's amazing. And I love watching them both. And I feel like there was a lot of, at least on Twitter, a lot of people saying that they felt like Jia should have gone ahead here. And I can see that. I'm not mad about it because I think that it's not Mao's quad toe has such amazing quality that even though I'm not normally the one, I'm normally going, oh, I hate it that just because you have one really, high scoring element, that means you're it's so good. It's done with such amazing, just confidence and size and everything that I want to be. I'm just yes, it deserves all of those points. And then she's, skating up to the rest of the program, even though if Jia does have an edge on a lot of other things. So I feel like if I was in Gia's shoes, I'd be frustrated.
Yeah.
At the same time, as a viewer, I'm not mad. And
it's not like Mao is just a jumper. She has incredible spins. She has incredible performance. There's so many good qualities. Maybe Gia outshines her a bit on the PCS front, but there's nothing between them really. One day maybe it will go Gia's way.
Yeah,
it's not happened yet. But it was close at the Youth Olympics. If she hadn't have had a 4 short program score, I think she potentially could have done it. But she will be going senior a year before Mao is, and she will be eligible for the Olympics where Mao isn't. So,
yeah. Yep. Yeah. So that will be super interesting to see.
What I am mad about is that sorry to interrupt. What I am mad about Gia's first junior worlds. That's the one I will forever be mad that she didn't win.
Yeah.
That's the one that I'm always going to be mad about.
Laura, I really agree that Rina's programs are some of the just the best. She's such an interesting skater, and just especially I feel like as for being so young, she has great great body awareness and like awareness of music and all of that. So yeah, very excited to see what she is able to do in the future.
The fact that she's already such a good performer at like 13 is just incredible. Entirely the rest of the results for this event.
I was just going to say that I feel like it's a shame for the placements for the Korean team, because that means that they've lost 3 spots. If I'm reading that right.
Yeah, they needed to equal 13, and it was 17 because the twins finished 15th and 16th.
Yeah, that is too bad for the future for them. I also sometimes I feel this way with juniors, where I'm like, where have you been? Why have I not noticed this person before? I definitely did see them. The Junior Grand Prix feels like such a long time ago. And this is how I was feeling about Ikara Kuchida, came in 5th here. I really enjoyed her. I feel like she carries herself with a lot of just like poise and confidence. I think she is tall, but she seems tall in a way that like really the way she moves on the ice makes her really distinct from a lot of the other women in this competition.
Yeah, it was a shame about the free, but she stood out for me, and I'm excited to see like her programs next season because I think she delivers really well.
Definitely. I'm jumping all over the place here, but I feel like I wanted to give shout out to Josephine Lee, which is half a shout out for U.S. Nationals that we didn't actually do a recap on, but it's she didn't have that kind of a performance here, but I am still so impressed by her performance quality, and I think that she does a great job of living up to the Poeta music and carrying that intensity through, even when she was not having like a great technical skate. So I was really happy that she got this opportunity, and keep going there. It was not a great competition overall for the U.S. or Canadian women. That there were definitely some skaters that were hoping for much higher placements here than they managed to get, but I was impressed with her overall, and very impressed with Lulu Lin.
Yes. She's such a fun skater. I'm glad she had a good skate here. I will say, I think this was a lot of people's first time seeing Alina Godina. This is her first junior year. She wasn't on the Junior Grand Prix because I think she broke her leg during the summer, so missed out on those opportunities. But I have a thing that I put on the Patreon that I had last year was a list of novices from last year, and she had one of the highest scores as a novice. So I was like, this is fun to watch. So yeah, I was like, I had my eye on her like when she started coming back and getting very high results. I think there was a junior competition where she finished about 30 points ahead of everyone else. It was insane. And she wasn't quite able to keep it up in the free here. I think probably nerves. But she's definitely one to watch for the future.
Definitely. I think is she coached by the Selevko's coach?
Irina Kononova?
I think she is. I'll check that out. But
also Sergei Rosanov, but let's ignore that.
And while we're talking about Estonians, I am going to continue to say that I super enjoy Maria Elise and think that she has a great future. I also was very impressed here with Stefania Gladkey. I think very impressive jumping technique. It'll be interesting to see what if she's able to keep developing that as well.
And I'm very happy that they chose to send Serena Hughes here, because they finally got 2 spots for Italian women.
Yeah,
good spots for the Junior Grand Prix. Hopefully they will use them. Like, let's start developing that discipline more. It's kind of the worst ones right now in Italy.
Yeah, no, I think having the having those Junior Grand Prix spots could be really great for Italy. I'd like to see more of the Italian women at the younger level competing internationally.
They have a lot.
Yeah,
there are a lot of them, but you just never see them.
Yeah, and I'm thinking back to one of the things that Andre Hocerek told me earlier this year about what sort of his theory about why the Italian women were lagging behind was partly because of the way that in domestic competitions, they're often the way that they're judged, they get very strongly rewarded for clean programs over trying technical elements. And I mean, you can argue that kind of logic in all different ways, but the result being that, like, at a novice level, they're not pushing their content as much. And so then when they get to the point of trying to compete more internationally, they're behind. They haven't been doing that as much. And so, that's take that with a grain of salt, but it's something that I've definitely been thinking about watching the Italian women. And it's great. Serena did fantastic here. I'm going to try to channel my sadness that
Lara's not at Worlds.
It's not at Worlds into rooting for Serena to get more spots for the future. Like, that's
let's hope.
That's going to try to put a positive spin on it, because it's one of those things where I'm like, this really has nothing to do with Serena, who is a great skater and absolutely deserves those spots. It's just that then once you have favorites, then it's
It's like, I was just checking my list, and I think there are 11 Italian junior women who have minimums for Junior Worlds.
Oh, wow.
And most people will not have heard of hardly any of them, because no one ever sees them. They just do like small little like Murano trophy and stuff, like, and nobody's watching juniors there. So
yeah, I was also impressed. I thought it was great to see. I'm gonna mispronounce her name, but the Thai skater.
Yeah, she goes by Anri. If you just call her Anri.
Okay. I thought she did very well for herself here, and it was great to see her in the free skate, and hopefully, continuing to make more room for the up and coming Thai skaters.
Yeah, I saw her say, I think it was in the mix zone, that she said, I know she had injury troubles at the start of the season. I think she said she had like an undiagnosed broken knee.
Ooh.
That they didn't realize until like later on was broken. So obviously that took some time to heal. It's just like, oh, why? It's just not nice.
Oh.
I was interested to see that Inga went for the triple axels here, because as far as I know, she hasn't done them all season. And they didn't necessarily go that well here. I think the first one was a downgrade, the second one was under rotated, but she did stay up on the second one.
Yeah.
But there were so many rotation issues and stuff throughout the program that it doesn't get the result that you intended to get when you put those high jumps in. Like, the score just tanked. And she did a similar issue last year, because I remember she tried to do the triple axel combo in the short, and it didn't go right. And she was so far down in the short program in last year's Junior Worlds that she, even though she had a great free state, she couldn't like get up near the top because she was so far down. So it's not, the strategy needs reworking, because she's a great skater to watch, and she like, her free skate the last couple of years has been really fun with like the dark kind of horror energy, and there's a great potential there, but she's just maybe being mismanaged a little bit.
Yeah, totally. Oh, we haven't mentioned, is it Ida or Ida, the Finnish skater?
I don't know which pronunciation it is, but she did an incredible job here. She does have suspect axle technique. I will sort of mention that. But I think she's had it for the last 2 seasons now. But the Queen Bohemian Rhapsody free skate, I think, is great on her. I think it really brings out her performing qualities.
Yeah, it's great as a junior performance too. I feel like when I like when the juniors can be a little quirky and a little don't have to have every everything a perfect smooth everything down to the tips of their fingers, everything perfected. It's nice to see. She just gives me this feeling, not that she doesn't have good poise or technique or anything. That she gives me this feeling of being a kid in a way that I actually really enjoy in her performance. I feel like the music suits her well for that.
Yeah, I feel the same about the short. I've mentioned this before, but the short program for Yufeng.
Yeah.
And then there's so much joy in her in that short program, and especially being a home skate here, just all the plushies raining down, she just looks so happy. It's a shame the free skate didn't go as well, and she finished 23rd. Obviously, she had the potential to finish higher, but can we not have something as sad as Schindler's List for her free skate next year? She's such a joyful skater. Please just lean into that.
Yeah. Agreed. There wasn't a huge crowd for Junior Worlds, but I did appreciate that there was a lot of love for the skaters from Taiwan. It was nice for them to get that home crowd feeling.
I also loved that they had Suhan for the gala as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that was great.
Anything else to mention? Oh yeah. I've been singing her praises for Zasmin Shaga, who was the first representative for Kyrgyzstan at the ISU Championships, finishing 30th for a small fed skater who has never been in this situation before. Incredible. She had an incredible short program skate, and I did think when she first skated, I did think she might make the free, but then there were so many that everyone was on it so well in the short program that it just didn't happen in the end. But
yeah,
good things for her.
Yeah, and I feel like we need to say there were 46 skaters here.
So many.
Actually, really. I know you know that. It was just I feel like I have to remind myself of that as well. This was another case of a lot of skaters who were in that space. But no, I do enjoy watching the short program, and I think I didn't get to see all of the skaters, but I kind of want to go back and watch because there's a lot of it's great to see this being a real career highlight for a lot of those skaters that maybe didn't make it to the free skate, but but making it here and is a huge achievement. I was thinking about Jonathan Isaacs from South Africa as another skater who kind of had to really fight to get the minimums. We don't always, doesn't have a huge amount of training time. We don't always get to see skaters from South Africa either. So anyway, very, very impressed with the skaters like to get here.
She was sad that Alessia Ray didn't make the free skate. Also Hannah Barth as well, because I think she's so talented. I just think there was almost too much in her program that any little thing that goes wrong, it just completely tanks the score. If she'd have just done it a little bit cleaner, she probably would have made it. But I have high hopes for her. Yeah, we can probably move on to our stats. In gold, we have Leah Nesset and Artem Markov. In silver, we have Elizabeth Tkachenko and Alexei Kilikov. And in bronze, we have Daria Grimm and Mikhail Savitsky. So, yes, I mean, Leah and Artem have a clean sweep of the year. They've won everything they've done. They are senior ready.
Okay.
They've just, they're incredible. I know they had a little slip towards the end. They put like a new choreo lift, I think it was, in at the end, and it went a little bit wrong, and she put her hand down and got a deduction, but it's like the one blip they've had all year.
Yeah, it's true. They have been just on a kind of, I was gonna say a golden pathway. I didn't even mean that as a just like they've made it look easy, and I know it's not easy, and they're working very hard, but they've made it look like this was easy for them.
Yeah, and I do agree with you, Laura, that Grim Sabitsky should have got the silver. It's their programs are so technically difficult, and I think the Israeli team made some errors in that free skate, and I would not have put them ahead. I know Grimsav also made mistakes with like the twizzles and stuff, but I think the difference was too much. Considering that they had the silver in the rhythm dance, I don't think those positions should have flip-flopped. But yeah. I thought Selena and John Hans, Freddie Fournier, had the best free dance I've ever seen them skate. Like, I think they've had a few issues in the last couple of seasons. I think the judges have not necessarily gone with them. But I've never seen them as clean as I saw them do their free dance. I thought there was, like, if they hadn't have had, like, a lower down rhythm dance, I think if they'd have been more up there with the rest of the teams, I think there was a chance they could have gotten to that podium with that free skate.
Yeah, and will they be senior next year?
No, I think they said they're doing another junior year.
Okay. That'll be good for them.
I think they said they were going to potentially do some senior Bs as well. I think Grimsev also said they'd do that. So yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how it all goes next year with who stays down and who moves up. I know the Cypriots say they're moving up, which is interesting.
It was great to see them back.
I know, I've missed them. But yeah, they've been junior for a long time. I can see why. I can see why they want to move up. It's a shame that this year did not. That if they planned for this year to be their last junior year, it's a shame that it didn't go how they wanted it to go, and they only got one competition at the end of the year. Because I think they potentially would have been vying for a place in the Junior Grand Prix final had they not had that injury.
Yeah. I was sorry for Ashley and Adel. I was hoping for a little, a little higher placement for them, but it's okay.
Yeah, I was hoping for a top 10 finish, but
yeah,
I don't think they're at all disappointed. I think they just consider it part of the process. I mean, they're higher than they were last year. They didn't make a mistake like they made at the Youth Olympics, so they're like,
yeah, it's all part of the trajectory for growth, and that's the thing. I think sometimes I struggle with a stance because when I see teams that feel like they have something really special, and then it's going to take them such a long time to start climbing. But I know that they, by the virtue of choosing to be ice dancers, have to have more patience than I do. So,
as Johnny says it, Ted constantly calling Atul alt drives me up the wall. Please just read his name. I beg you. And also, the poor Italians, his fall in the closing pose and bringing her down, leading to a 2 deduction. It was so unfortunate for them. Oh. They've had little weird things like that this year. Like they had a bad lift fall, I think. I don't know if it was a Enya Dance trophy or maybe an earlier competition. Maybe it was an earlier one. I don't remember. But they've had those kind of weird little things where they have a really good, promising high score, and then something will happen at another competition that just throws it all off. And like it was like they just finished, and then awkward flop fall back, and it's just like, oh, it just ruins the whole whole vibe of what you're trying to do, and then to get the 2 deduction as well. It's just really unfortunate.
Yeah. Johnny's comments making me laugh.
Alt Control Delete.
I feel like Ted was partly because I mostly watched the free skates. I felt like Ted was tired because he was not commenting very much on a lot of the skaters, and I was thinking, yeah, sometimes it's a long time. There's a lot of people to talk about. On the Italians, I do feel like they have talent above how they've scored so far, and I'm looking forward to seeing more from them, definitely.
I know they do technically age out this year, although I think if the rules are changed regarding the ages, which we'll see in the summer if that's the case, I think they would plan to stay down again, because I think she ages out, but he doesn't. So
yeah, though, I mean, there is, I don't know, it'd be interesting to see that there are, it feels like there could be some space in the senior ranks for the Italians, so I wouldn't be surprised if an ambitious team were to move up, because they would probably get a decent number of assignments. They'd be able to compete for for spaces, and the Italians do tend to send their skaters out to senior Bs and stuff. So I don't know. There's definitely pros and cons to each thing, but like with the French, I'm like, yeah, stay junior if you can. French senior, even if Papanak and Cizeron don't come back, like there's like it's still very tough to get in, and there's some others where it's like but the Italians, like, they've got some decent senior teams that are improving, but like it's not the same kind of crowded.
I don't think there's anyone like show stopping. There's nobody.
Yeah, and that the fact
really
that
cemented themselves.
Yeah, definitely. And why am I blanking on their names? The second rank, Victoria and Carl.
Manny Roethlisberger.
Yes. Her first names that I was totally blanking on her last name. That they're also getting to be, I think they're nearly in their 30s.
About that.
There's going to be there's going to be space moving moving in the, even if both of those teams go through Milan, there's going to be space moving up into the Italian team. I
was gonna say, I felt really bad for Irina and Artem, the Ukrainian team, because he had an awful fall in the pattern in the rhythm dance, and it really tanked their scores. Obviously they would have been hoping for probably at minimum a top 10 finish here, and it just, the free skate went better, but once you're down there, especially in ice dance, it's kind of hard to climb through the ranks and get back up again. As Figure Skaters Law mentioned, thoughts on the new ice dance rhythm for the next 2 seasons, which is apparently going to be Dance Party of the 20th century and then 21st century or whatever it is, and I'm like, please just stop. just stop. No, bring back the ice dance that I know and love, because that's not it. No.
Yeah.
I don't want to acknowledge it. I'm ignoring it until the communications are out, and then I'm gonna make fun of it.
My optimistic heart is saying, well, you could do lots of great programs within those themes, and then my pessimistic brain goes, but will they?
No.
No.
Right. Yeah.
But not.
Honestly, I feel that way about 90%. Like, it's rare that I enjoy more than a few rhythm dances a season ever. And I don't know what it is about it, but there's something about the I hardly ever enjoy it, and the teams that I like will usually manage to do something interesting with it. So I'm gonna try to balance out my optimism and my pessimism and go, whatever. It doesn't matter.
I haven't had optimism for the rhythm dance since 2019. Oh, it's just like at this point they've completely gone away from what the rhythm dance was supposed to be. Like it's not the rhythm dance anymore. Just bring back the original dance or something. Just I don't know what you're doing anymore. You may as well just change it and go back to what it was. Like you don't seem to know what you want it to be. So and it's weird, I think, that with every other like kind of like big change, like it has to go through Congress, it has to be voted on by like federations and stuff. They just seem to be making up with ice dances that go along with like no one regulating them. No one saying we don't want to do this. You're doing it anyway because we're not even asking you. You're just doing it.
Oh, to be a fly on the wall in the Junior Worlds coaches meeting when they announced this. That is
just like why are you even calling it dance party? It sounds like it sounds so juvenile, but like somebody said it's like Dance Styles Revolution. I'm just like it's like why? Oh,
exactly.
Yeah.
School disco. It
sounds
feels
like school disco.
I think the thing that I'm going back to, and this is like my conflict of ice dance sometimes, is that with the roots being ballroom, it feels like the rhythm dance is the place where there's that connection, that like that's the technical core of, and even if they add other types of dance and other types of rhythms, that it's that kind of partnering that is at the core of ice dance, and that moving further and further away from that being a part of the discipline feels like it's eroding what makes it particular. And I say this, like, and realizing that a good part of the reason why I have historically not liked ice dance that much, and historically not liked the rhythm dances in particular, is that I don't find the stylings of ballroom all that interesting, like on a personal taste level. And that's why it's like, why is Papa Duck and Cizeron like my favorite team, and for a while like the only ice dancers that I would bother to watch, like, so then this is all like personal taste. Like there's a part of my brain that is in that space, and I'm like, and doesn't care about pattern dances and doesn't care about the the rhythm dance because it's not what I find interesting. But then if I try to think objectively about like what makes this sport a sport, I have a hard time letting go of it.
Yeah. And I hate the fact that the compulsories are not within the rhythm dance anymore, because I think that was the thing that really allowed you to compare team to team who had the technical advantage over somebody else. And the fact that, like, I know they're doing like random steps within like certain sequences now, but it's not judged like the pattern was. Like you don't get the key points and everything, so you can't make the direct comparison team to team of who can do it. Like and you've still got it in juniors, but you don't have it in seniors, which is why junior ice dance is better than senior ice dance.
Yeah, and
it's very frustrating.
I don't feel like the senior rhythm dances were more creative than the juniors. Like, so the idea is, that moving away from this adds to the creativity, which I'm all in favor of that goal. I'm not seeing it. And I think, yeah. So that's where my fear is. Like, I think about, okay, well, what could this be? Well, the 20th century has a huge, variety of rhythms and styles. People could pick really interesting things, but what are people going to do? There's going to be like very safe, like stereotype of the decades kind of things, I think. And so it's not going to be that interesting. And then 21st century, it's like, well, we'll be lucky if it isn't just like whatever is the top 40 of the year before the Olympics.
Oh God, it's 8 Despotitos all over again.
It is. It's going to be, but see, that's the thing, is that making it be Latin didn't stop the 8 Despositos.
Oh, yeah, it didn't.
Basically, what it does is it feels like they're giving up. They're saying, "Oh, this is what you're going to do with our rhythm, whatever it is. Whatever, fine. You all skate to Billie Eilish.
Billie Eilish. Oh, there's already enough Billie Eilish programs. Oh, it's just why?
Yeah, I feel like I said this on Twitter earlier today, but I really feel like if they're going to do this, then for the Olympic season, I think everybody should have to pick like obscure pop hits from their country, or something. Like if we're going to go Eurovision, I would like this to be
Eurovision, yeah,
Eurovision style. Like
Yeah.
I would like to, please like introduce me to like the best bops of your country, or
we're almost getting back into like folk again. Like you could have like brought back the folk theme and made it like country specific.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I feel like if part of me thinks that make the rule, like make the theme, the category, the rhythm, whatever, give really strict limits of what it has to be, and then judge based on how creative people could be with those limits.
Yeah.
And then the free dance, you don't have any limits and you could do whatever. And so, Daniel, I kind of like the idea. I like the spin, also the like assigning music gets political and complicated, but I kind of like
the hat.
and
out of the hat.
That?
I mean, also that way they could. I mean, I hate that this is what I'm thinking about, but that way they could almost sort out the copyright issue. Because if they cleared a certain selection of songs that they then make people pick from,
that's true.
Yeah,
then maybe we don't have so many issues.
The professional competition that I want somebody to give me money to host, which is you pick a song out of a hat and then you get a day to choreograph, and then you have to go present something the next day. Some other reality TV show style competition that I want to see, because I always think that it's not fair exactly that we that there's a composition mark that's basically how good a choreographer were you able to hire. I'd like to see skaters being rewarded based on their own ability to be creative, and that, which is so completely not the way anything works right now. So it's like, I'm not saying that that would be fair, but I think it would be, yes. So you think you could skate some random partnering, and I think that we should, and I would like to see mixed nation teams. Like, let's please draw, two single skaters and and dance in pair, and put them on a team, and they also have to choreograph a little group number, theater on ice style as well.
Also, it'd be really interesting if you like made like skaters or whatever pick music for somebody else. That would be fun.
All right. See, what we're deciding here is that why didn't what were we doing? We all should have been. We should send Caitlin Weaver this recording and be like, it's not too late. We have come up with 12 other ideas for you.
Please send this to them so they can stop doing this. I'm gonna have to literally read the words dance party on an ISU communication, and I'm gonna die inside.
Do they say what they're doing with the choreo? Like, is there a rhythm or a something or a step or
Paso Doble steps in the coming year? I can't remember what the next one was.
But it's the same thing with like the Silver Samba, where they
integrated. Yeah, I think so. It's not the pattern.
Okay, because that's the thing that I heard every single coach and skater that I talked to all year did not like that.
So why are they still doing it?
The ones, it was like everyone thought that was the bad compromise. It was like there were people who really liked the 80s, people who didn't like the 80s, people who like not having a pattern dance, people who don't like it. Pretty much everyone agreed that it's sort of the steps, but not quite, was confusing and awkward and everyone's least favorite element. So that seemed like a very clear piece of feedback. So again, that's odd.
And everyone was impressed by the junior one of like the women do the men's steps and the men do the women's steps. Everyone thought that was a great idea. So do more stuff like that. Do more of the good ideas.
Yeah.
Stop doing the bad ideas again.
Yeah. Again, please, they they used to live stream the coaches meeting with the technical committee. I wish that they'd still did, because I would like to watch Barbara Fusar-Poli yelling at the technical committee again.
Yes.
This is what we need in our lives.
It is. Oh my god.
Yeah. And the thing is, no matter what the idea was, we were all going to hate it, and some of everyone was going to hate it. It is like what their job of picking something is kind of impossible, and yet they managed to pick something that I think I have not yet to see anyone think was a good idea.
Just pick something that everybody hates.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Well, I think as clearly we all have good ideas for music. So as per usual, you know, we please skaters be creative. That's true. If the Die Hard Ice Dance was choosing, it would be Yankee Polka or the waltz. Everyone seems to.
No one will be satisfied. There are people who will never be satisfied until the Golden Waltz returns. There are people who will never be satisfied.
Other things that were breaking news that I feel like we that I'm gonna randomly comment on, since we haven't. One is that I am so pumped for Alyssa Liu coming back to competition.
Yes.
I mean, I'm totally off the Junior Worlds topic, so if we want to circle back to anything from Junior Worlds, we absolutely should.
Yeah, unless anyone has any questions, like.
Yeah. If other things that, yeah.
But yeah, it was amazing. Like, I was so like not committing to her coming back yet. I was like, I don't know in what capacity she's coming back. I'm not going to get too excited yet. And then the US press release comes out. It's like, yes, she is back. I'm like, yes.
Yeah. Also, Daniel, yes, I am inside of the crate, the divider that keeps my rabbit from getting into the part of the room with all the things he should chew that he's not supposed to chew. So yes. It's not to keep me from my living room, though I have tripped over it in the middle of the night many times.
Oh no. Oh my god. Is there any other news we missed that's happened recently?
Well, all of the horrible, depressing news about all of the abuse in sport, which we can talk about another time, but is definitely ongoing.
Yeah. I mean, we covered that a little bit in the last one, but there's more every time.
It's true.
Which is not fun. I was gonna get on my soapbox a little bit. I know I did a couple of lessons with Lois during the summer last year, so this is kind of one of my lessons in a different kind of way that goes back to the rules of the ISU. I see a lot of people on Twitter, mostly talking retweeting the ISU and stuff, asking why Israel are not banned. It comes down to the fact that I don't think there is a rule currently to ban them. Basically, the ban for Russia and Belarus came from the fact that they broke the Olympic truce. They invaded Ukraine in between the period of time between the Winter Olympics and the Paralympics. You can't violate the Olympic truce, and that's why the IOC asked all governing sporting bodies to ban Russia and Belarus at that time, and majority, almost all of them, followed that case. And the ISU haven't gone back on that since. They're still banned. About a month or so after the ban, the ISU proposed a new rule which would have potentially allowed them to have banned Israel under these circumstances. It was other protective measures. In case of occurrence of events or circumstances of an exceptional nature which are outside the ISU's control, such as terrorism, riot, civil unrest, war, regardless of whether declared or not, strike, nuclear or chemical contamination, epidemic, etc., the extraordinary event compromising the safe and or regular conduct of the ISU's activities, notably, but without limitation, the conduct of the activities of the ISU bodies, commissions, and or the organization of, including the preparation thereof, and or participation in the events and or competitions hosted and or sanctioned by the ISU, being made impossible, objectively endangered, or in the reasonable judgment of the ISU Council, not reasonably possible or appropriate under adequate conditions given the circumstances, the ISU Council may decide to impose exceptional protective measures aimed at preserving the safe, peaceful, and regular conduct of the ISU's activities defined in this rule in accordance with the ISU's objectives. Protective measures may include, without limitation, the temporary suspension of A, the exercise of rights of ISU members representing countries that caused or contributed to or are otherwise relevantly involved in the extraordinary event, and or B, persons who are affiliated to the ISU members referred to in subparagraph A above and or citizens of the concerned countries to the extent that they are participating in the ISU's activities defined in this rule, including without limitation persons who are elected and or appointed as members of the ISU bodies, commissions, athletes, officials, support personnel, or C, any other measure that the ISU deems appropriate in light of nature and circumstances of the extraordinary event. So that's what they implemented about a month after they banned Russia and the ISU. And then they put it to Congress, and it went to Congress in that summer, and it was rejected. If I have a look and find minutes, which I'm going to have to scroll down because I had it earlier and it just goes back up to the top again. It's like 135 pages in, which is not fun to forget to. And I only just saw this today when Sarah sent it to me. I hadn't seen the minutes for this before. A second. Yeah, urgent proposal 2 made by the ISU Council. So the ISU Council made this rule. Rule 104, new paragraph 17, to add to the possibility for the Council to take protective measures in the case of exceptional events or circumstances. Friday Schmid referred to the continued validity of communication number 2469, which is the one where they banned Russia and Belarus, which had been confirmed by the Congress under agenda item 12. The communication was therefore temporarily in place until revoked by the Council and or until later Congress. Acceptance of urgent proposal would permanently add wording to the list of rules. Michael Geislinger, the ISU legal advisor, said that the proposal should be considered generally and not just in the context of the current war in Ukraine. It would help avoid further legal difficulties if the Council had to make difficult decisions in the future about unforeseen circumstances, such as another pandemic or a disaster. Boris Chait Israel said that he felt that the first paragraph of the proposal to be dangerous, as the Council would not necessarily have accurate information about any given situation and should not make decisions on political matters. Vladimir Kisanovic, Bosnia-Herzegovina, requested a secret vote, and this was agreed. The proposal was rejected by a secret vote, with 71 votes in favour, 31 votes against, and 13 abstentions. And therefore, since then, that rule has no longer been in effect. So that is potentially the only rule that the ISU could have used to ban Israel under the circumstances that are currently happening. So if people are wondering why Israel are not banned and Russia and Belarus are, it's because there is no feasible way for them to ban them in the current rules.
Yeah. When it comes to the Olympic level, I was also looking at this, that, you know, there is both in Israeli and Palestinian Olympic committees. There is a Palestinian Olympic committee who have called for Israel to be banned from the Olympics, but the Olympic movement has, you know, the IOC has been very firm that that's not going to happen. And it's also worth noting that in general, the you know, to the degree that they're consistent on this, that the IOC has been kind of against the Russians being banned too, for that matter, and has, you know,
they've gone back on it and they've said they want the introduction of neutral athletes. I think part of the reason why the ISU hasn't done that is that they would then have to allocate resources into like a little team, or necessarily one person who is going to have to go through every Russian skater and try and determine if that skater can be considered a neutral athlete or not. And I don't think they want to put resources into that.
Well, and then I think that the other underlying thing is that the political ban on the Russians because of Ukraine is in fact a shadow ban because of doping, without having to actually say that. And so there's those things being tied together, I think gives a stronger incentive. And this is not the justification that's being used. This is not the legal side of things, even though honestly it should be. And the the case for banning based on state-sponsored, state-mandated. In a lot of cases, doping is probably even stronger. Because they're not getting that support from the upper levels of the way the anti-doping system works globally. They're not, it's harder to do that. And so the fact that these things happen simultaneously then, has had the impact of essentially, banning the Russians. And I think whereas when it comes to the Israeli athletes, I think have that broader question of competing for a country glorifies that country, the political context of it. But it's hard to, I think that does get harder without a rule, like Lois was saying, because so many nations are have their athletes are soldiers. They are state funded. Mm-hmm. This is something that I think about as an American, because often when Americans call for people to be, banned from things or because of war crimes, they like to point out how many war crimes the U.S. has been responsible for. And and so if we were going to be consistent about this, there probably have been times that the U.S. should have been, but these are the things that are, it gets hard. And so I do think that with the legal case, it is difficult. And at the same time, the sports case here feels like it's like just a tiny part of the same general, like, abdication of responsibility from the global governance. And, everybody, it's like the sports part is just a symptom of the broader inability to do something about Gaza.
Ultimately, with no justification in the rules to ban them, they would appeal to CAS, it would be overturned. Funny, yay.
Just to circle back on a lighter note, as I was saying,
a lighter note,
feeling about the downfall of global order and genocide. Here's a rabbit that would like all of the things in the living room and is therefore just being confined to a space that has been rabbit-proofed. And he's very glad him up because he was asleep. But
yeah, as I said, are there any sporting governing bodies that have banned Israel? I'm not up to date with all of them. I know that there was at one point the Hockey Federation banned them from Worlds or something, and then I think immediately overturned it a few days later after there were complaints about that. They kind of said it was for their protection, and everyone kind of fought back on that, and that was overturned, I think. But I don't know of any other nations that have sporting regulations who've done it.
I've seen.
I see the comments a lot, and I just
speaking out, but then getting reprimanded by the IOC or their national Olympic committees for speaking about it, which again goes into that athletes' rights. He is this is Twig. He is not a lop. He just has his ears down because he's a little grumpy. They normally stick out. I don't know what kind of rabbit he is. He may be part New Zealand, but he's big and came from a shelter and is usually a lot more rambunctious than this, but this is his nap time. He was asleep next to me and very grumpy that I just picked him up, but that's okay. I needed to show him off to you all.
It helped the vibe.
Yeah.
But I just thought I would try and address it because I see the comments a lot online. People wondering why they're not banned. And there's a clear distinction of why they're not banned. As upsetting to people as that may be.
Yeah, it is. I think it would be while we're talking about serious things, I was also going to mention that for folks who are going to Worlds. I'm going to be at Worlds, and if you see me, say hi. And also, I know there's going to be some efforts that we should hopefully have more information about soon, but to try to encourage people to wear teal ribbons or a piece of clothing or something like that as a way of showing support for all of the survivors in skating and in the sports system. That's something that we've heard from a number of survivors is, it's a way to make a statement that is positive. It doesn't reduce it to being about any one person or one case when we know that there are so many more cases that are not in the news, but nonetheless keeps it from being something that is just, overlooked in competition. And so just wanted to mention that for anybody who might be watching this and going to Worlds, that that's one of the things that hoping to see people take on.
And hopefully, like, for those of us who aren't there, we can see in the crowd. Hopefully we'll be able to see some people wearing teal.
Yeah.
Just, it'll be a bright spot.
Yeah.
When we're having to sit through, there are at least 2 ice dance teams where that is,
Yeah. With open allegations, and it's just.
With open allegations, yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
I feel like we're ending every stream off on a depressing note. We had the abuse last time. We have
yay bunnies, yay Alyssa Liu's coming back to competition. I know. What else can we be excited about? Worlds is going to happen.
Mark is commentating Worlds.
True.
Okay, that's something to be excited about. I'm happy about that. I'm going to get to eat lots of poutine in a couple of weeks. I'm happy about that. Hopefully it won't all be like soggy rink poutine. Yep.
We'll think if you like us, subscribe, give us a like.
Also Izumi wrote a really good review of Gracie Gold's book. Go read it.
Also touching on some serious topics because that's just the sport,
That's the sport now. If you like our content, subscribe to our Patreon. We talk about competitions on the Discord. We have exclusive content. I'll be having some stuff about novices up soon.
An interview with Theo Lemercier and Lucia Demago that should be up soon. And yeah, thanks all for joining us, and we will hopefully have a guest back for our Worlds recap. Which I think
guest list today. I mean, it's been a tough, busy few weeks. Hard to find somebody every time. Anyway, thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.
We will see you for Worlds.
Bye.